So I recently counted that I visited 42 of the 50 United States of America, so I made a list of my favorite cities to visit if you want to ball on a budget. Kicking it off with Chicago, which is one of my favorites. Obviously, it's on this list. It's got stunning architecture, it's got the city, it's got water, it has a vibrant art scene, and an incredible food scene. And there's honestly something for everyone. For less than $20, you can check out the Lincoln Park Zoo, or you can explore the beautiful Garfield Park Conservatory, which are both completely free to the public. And if you want something different, I was pretty shocked at how much I loved this museum. It was the International Museum of Surgical Science. They have a really fascinating exhibition on the medical history of surgery. And so if you love museums, I've got a couple of other really good ones coming up, so stay tuned. And if museums are not your thing, another thing you can do is stroll along the Baha'i House of Worship gardens. And while you're exploring Chicago, you have to go eat in Chicago. And there are tons of budget-friendly restaurants like Cafecito. Their Cubano sandwiches are seriously one of the best sandwiches I've ever had. Chicago generally has really good food, and the best part is they have a ton of affordable eats in which you can earn a cash back on the Upside app. And what this means is when you spend money at these restaurants, you actually get a percentage of them back in the form of cash. And with Upside, you can earn as much as 45% cash back at restaurants. And if you want a bonus 10% cash back at your first restaurant offer with Upside, there's a code to sign up in the description. Okay, so the final reason why I love visiting Chicago is that you don't need to Uber or Lyft anywhere if you don't have a car, because they actually have one of the best public transportation systems. There's good buses and trains, and you can get, really affordable day passes. The next spot on my list, this is a place where I actually used to live, and the last time I visited, it's gotten even cooler. Of course, I'm talking about Columbus, Ohio. They have a fun art scene, they have a great music scene, they have a lot of food options, and there's a lot of stuff to do if you like sports as well. For under $20, I recommend exploring the Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens, or you can stroll through the gorgeous Topiary Park. And one of my personal favorite and unique things about Columbus, in my opinion, is German Village. It's more of a historic neighborhood with charming cobblestone streets and quaint little shops and great beer and food, and there's a lot of history there, and it's truly super fun. And also there are a ton of restaurants with cashback offers at Upside. You can eat and earn money at the same time. One of my favorite areas in Columbus that I used to go to a lot, it's called the Short North Arts District, and it's really known for its colorful murals, trendy boutiques. And my favorite place in that area is called the North Market, where you can get a lot of local foods and like fun things, like a market of a bunch of vendors. And specifically, my very favorite ice cream shop in the world started in North Market, and it's called Jenny's. So I highly recommend going to the Jenny's location, because at that location, they have all of the flavors. Okay, and another beautiful free thing that I used to do a lot is walk along the Scioto Mile, and you'll see stunning views of the city skyline. And I used to go running there. So if you are a runner, this is another free place to run. And if you're driving, gas always can get expensive in big cities. So I recommend using Upside for gas as well, where you can earn cash back up to 25 cents on every single gallon of gas that you get. More on how Upside works in this video. And you can get bonus cash back when you sign up with the links in the description. And don't worry, we're gonna get onto more places with more nature, so that's coming up. Next up, St. Louis, Missouri, famous for its blues music, smoky barbecue everywhere you look. So definitely eat some barbecue. It is one of my favorite types of barbecue. But if that's not your jam, I highly recommend this insane pizza place that lives rent-free in my mind. It's called Emo's. But really, here in St. Louis, you gotta go take a tour of the Gateway Arch. It's the gateway to the west, it's part of history. And the Missouri Botanical Gardens is incredible. Something that's unique to St. Louis is the City Museum. It's this quirky, interactive playground for all ages. And definitely make time for the St. Louis Walk of Fame. Also, the Metrolink light rail is the easiest and cheapest way to get around the city, so you technically don't have to drive. But if you do drive, I actually have a video coming out soon on the best apps and the best ways to save money on gas, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. Next up, Detroit, Michigan, aka a Motor City, also a core part of American history. And in my opinion, it's incredibly underrated. It's got such a vibe, and it's the birthplace of Motown. So if you love Marvin Gaye and if you have the other Motown musicians, you have to go check out the Motown Museum. And if you like live music, I highly recommend seeing what is playing at the Masonic Temple. It is one of my most favorite venues that I've ever been to. It is gorgeous on the inside, and you have a great view from wherever. And of course, there's also the Detroit Riverwalk. And one of my personal favorite things that I ever did in Detroit was to go visit the Heidelberg Project. This is an outdoor art exhibit that is free, and they've created the most thought-provoking art from junk. I know that doesn't seem that cool, but please go. Then there's the iconic Fisher Building. I mean, there's just a ton of really cool architecture in Detroit. And while you're in town too, the Detroit People Mover is also a really great option to travel without blowing your budget. And for those of you who are driving to Detroit or anywhere on the list and you want a smooth road trip without a million stops, I just released a video with all of my best road trip driving tips linked in the description. Moving on to one of my most unlikely favorite cities, Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's one of the best cities to visit for its beautiful lakes, and there's lots of art and lots of good food as well. For nature lovers, the chain of lakes offers scenic trails and a lot of fun boating opportunities. In the summer, definitely go check out the Minneapolis Sculpture Garden, and then also walk around Lake Harriet. It's so beautiful. And if you love outdoors activities, wait till we get to Denver, because I lived there for 5 years and I have so much to share. Back to Minneapolis, so you have to go to the Bakken Museum. It's dedicated to electricity and magnetism. Don't knock it till you try it, okay? Okay, another one of my favorite places in Minneapolis that I went to was the Minneapolis Institute of Art. I love it because it is free and you get to see art. And if the weather is good, remember, go in the summer, you have to squeeze in a visit to the Minnehaha Falls, which is an incredible urban waterfall in Minnehaha Park. And don't miss the Midtown Global Market, especially if Manny's Tortas are there. It is so, so good. I mean, and there's tons of other food and local crafts as well. All right, you ready for the next one? This one also shocked me when I went there. It's Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, I mean, where else can you catch the legendary Indy 500? The vibe of Indianapolis is really kind of electric, and there's just a lot of really hidden, affordable things that you can do in the city. It has a really rich culture, it has a really rich history, and there's a super lively cultural scene to dive into, shockingly, honestly, to me. And for under $20, I highly recommend the Indianapolis Museum of Art, or you can wander through the White River State Park. And trust me, make time for the Kurt Vonnegut Museum. It's like stepping into the mind of this incredible writer. Okay, so another free place that you need to check out is called the Idle Point of View. It's essentially a free art installation that has a lot of meaning for Indianapolis, showing that Indianapolis belongs to the people, and it's free. Another place that's free is the Indiana War Memorial. This is where you can dive deep into the state's military history, if that's your thing. And you can't miss the Indianapolis City Market. That's where you can get local food and see local vendors. Okay, so I'm super excited about this next one, and it is constantly making top lists of places to visit: Mile High City or Denver, Colorado. I lived there for 5 years and I love it, I miss it. It's got mountains, it's got sports, it's got city, it's got food, it's got incredible music, and so much nature. One of my favorite free places to visit is Red Rocks Amphitheater. Most tickets are around like $50, $60, but they have a ton of free hikes around the area, and it is just mind-blowing. And of course, I used to be a member of the Denver Botanical Gardens, if you want that. And then definitely check out the Rhino Arts District. I used to live really close to there, and there are so many cool murals, and there's a lot of really cool food there. Something that's a little bit different is the History of Colorado Museum or the Denver Art Museum. A lot of the museums that I have found have really large collections of Native American art, which is core to the history of America, so definitely go check it out. Another free place you can visit is Larimer Square. It's the oldest block in Denver, and there's a ton of great restaurants all up in that area. And another free place is Denver's Union Station, a great place for photos. It's also pretty close to Larimer Square. And don't even get me started on the food and beer. There are tons of delicious breweries and a lot of good food. And of course, make sure to check out the Upside app to look at some of the offers, because a lot of the local spots are on Upside. Okay, let's talk about more nature things outside of just Red Rocks. So you can drive drive 30 minutes out from Denver to Boulder, and you can hike the Flatirons. One of my favorite trails out there is called the Tenderfoot Trail. I've done it dozens of times. And if you drive past Boulder, you can actually hit the Rocky Mountain National Park. And if you have time to drive, please, please, please do it. It has got some of the most breathtaking views. Also, Denver's worked really hard to have good public transportation. It's called the RTD, and they even have a train that runs directly from the airport into Denver, but all throughout as well. Next stop is a city that needs no introduction. Of course, I'm talking about New York City. It's the vibrant metropolis, busting with life from dusk to dawn. And if you're like, New York City is really expensive, you probably don't know what to do and where to go, but you can actually explore on a budget. So first of all, if you're brand new, there's Times Square, which is completely free. And if you want to do touristy things like check out the Statue of Liberty, you can buy tours that go to the Statue of Liberty and do that whole thing at Ellis Island. Or I have a free hack for you, which is to ride a ferry. So you could do the Staten Island ferry. There are ferries that go from Brooklyn to New York and back. And there's another ferry that goes to Governor's Island as well. But honestly, my favorite thing to do that is absolutely free is to just pick a neighborhood and walk. New York is a very walking city. And of course, when you get hungry, use the Upside app and then eat as you're walking. And remember, you can earn up to 45% cash back at restaurants. And if you want a bonus 10% cash back at your first restaurant, make sure to download the app. The promo code is in the description below. But if you don't want to use the Upside app, New York is known for their dollar slices. And at a few places, it's literally still $1. So you will probably go to Joe's Pizza, or Prince Street Pizza is also another famous one. Something that I actually love more is going to Chinatown and hitting up Meilawa for like $7. Okay, you want more free and cheap things? I got you. Another spot is if you're on the west side of New York, I highly recommend strolling along the High Line. It's a unique built up park that runs through all of the city buildings and everything. There's a garden, there's places to lay out, there's tons of places for photos. It's truly really special. And then of course there's the streets of Greenwich Village where you can catch a really cheap comedy show. Oh, I could talk about New York City forever, but we gotta get to our final stop, which is San Francisco, the city by the bay. It's known for its mesmerizing and iconic landmarks like the Golden Gate Bridge. That is a must-see, and a ton of diversity in the culture. They also have an amazing Chinatown if you like to eat Chinese food or Asian food. Go check it out. It is one of the best in the world, and it might honestly be better than New York. It's cutting it pretty close. Another place you can visit is the notorious Alcatraz Island, where the prison is, or you can take a ride on one of the famous cable cars up and down the hills of San Francisco. But if you want to go off the beaten path a little bit, I recommend going to the colorful Mission District, or you can stroll through the really serene Japanese tea garden in the Golden Gate Park. Okay, so I lied when I said that San Francisco was the last one on my list. I actually have one more. And of course, it's the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C. First of all, you can go to the National Mall and visit all of the monuments there. All of that is free. Or you can go to Georgetown neighborhood or Adams Morgan. I mean, the city is just pretty much filled with history and culture and really, really good food. And I think it's the mecca of free museums. Like, first of all, the Smithsonian Institution is there, and there's like a whole bunch of other museums as well. But one of the ones that was pretty memorable for me was the National Air and Space Museum. There's also the National Museum of American History. I highly recommend, strolling the streets of Capitol Hill. You can take photos, or if you want to take photos of the cherry blossoms that you always see people in DC taking, that area is called the Tidal Basin. Like all the places that I mentioned, if you want to ball on a budget and travel on a budget, eating out is one of the biggest expenses. So don't forget to look in the Upside app when you're looking up places to eat, because you're gonna make money quickly back, and then you can spend it on your travels or just save it for something else. Well, I'm personally excited to continue exploring the US because we have so much to offer here. So thanks for watching this video, and hopefully you have a few more ideas on places to visit, and happy travels, and we'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye-bye.